Hi everyone, I'm with Bishop Rick Thorpe in Islington in London. Bishop Rick, you've got a role in the Church of England. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I'm the director of the Gregory Centre for Church Multiplication, and that's a centre that is encouraging making disciples, starting new Christian congregations, often led by lay people, but also revitalising old churches to help renew them and to encourage people to share their faith and make their faith dynamic in their daily lives.
Brilliant. Tell us about the importance of disciple making in your average parish church.
Sure. So disciple making is, well, I think it's a big difference talking about disciple making to discipleship. So discipleship sounds like, oh, I've got to do stuff internally in myself. But I found that actually the best disciples are those who have actually learnt to help other people to become disciples.
Okay.
And when you help someone else to be a disciple, then actually you grow yourself as being a disciple. And so there's something about a giving away of yourself, helping someone else to grow. And sometimes we think, oh, I don't know if I am very good at that. I don't know if I could know anything. And of course, the point is you don't need to know much. You just need to know enough. And so it's what you know, you pass on. And as you pass that on, you begin to grow yourself. You begin to actually have a desire for more, that then you're able to impart more. And I found that actually the most important thing, or one of the questions I ask people often is not how you're doing as a follower of Jesus. I actually say this: who are you discipling? Because that actually communicates how they're doing as a disciple themselves.
Of course.
But also how they are, who they're speaking to, how they're doing it. And again, most people go, well, I don't know how to do that. They might not say it, they might feel embarrassed about that, but that's totally fine. You know, most of us aren't doing it, but we need to learn how to do it. Jesus said, go and make disciples. So us, go and make disciples, and teaching them to obey everything I've commanded you, which is to go make disciples. So it's like a continual, we are the fruit of people who have made us disciples. And so the question then is, how do we pass it on, and who do we pass it on to? And we don't need to be like clergy who are experts, who've been trained a long time. They're brilliant. They really are brilliant. Actually, this is for everyone. Everyone needs to learn how to do this. And of course, as clergy, I'm a clergyman, I need to learn how to equip people to do this as well. And I'm not very good at that, but I'm learning how to do it. And so it starts really with me doing it. I need to start doing it myself. So I'm a bishop. If I'm not discipling people around me, how can I expect other people to disciple people? So I do that personally with my team in the Gregory Centre. I do it with my neighbours around my house, because I see them all the time. What does it mean to disciple someone who's not really a Christian? Well, I want to help them to take steps forwards so that over time they will grow to know Jesus more and more. And so I'm not expecting 0 to 50 or 0 to 100 in one go. It's like 0 to 1 is good and 3 to 4 is good. And so it's like, what can I do to help someone to move forward in their own understanding of who Jesus is? And I kind of think I want to make it really, really simple. Jesus actually, he just lived his life. He invited the disciples to come and live their lives with him. And they were really, while they were with him, they were a bunch of failures. In fact, almost every person in the Bible is a failure, but God used them for his purposes. And so I feel like I'm a failure, but God might want to use me for his purposes. And so, in fact, more than that, he wants to. He chooses to, in spite of those things. And so, if that's good enough for him, well, maybe it's good enough for us. And so, then it's very simply saying, Lord, who could I disciple? Who are the people? And I personally find it helpful to talk to someone else about it and say, who are the kind of people who, and they often say, well, you often speak to this person, or you're really good friends with that person, or this person you're having meetings with every day. Well, why don't you start with them? And it's like, okay. And then I talk it out with them and say, well, how can I do that? And so it's often just in dialogue that we're able to grow ourselves, and then we can try it out. And in that dialogue, I can say, they might say, how did it go? It's like, so it's like a little bit of accountability there. And it's like, I quite like that. I don't like that, but I do like it.
Yeah.
And so I don't like it because it makes me feel, oh, I've got to really do it. I've got to report back, if you like. But I do want to do it because it's like, this is important. It's so important that I want to be able to have that kind of question asked of me. And then I get excited when I try it out. Or if something goes wrong, I'm able to say to that person, went wrong, and they encourage me and say, don't worry, you know, mine was much worse than that or whatever. But actually, in my experience, more and more people love to have these conversations. You know, just the data, the stats are saying people want to have, you know, not everyone, there are some people who don't want to have a conversation with a Christian about Jesus, but there are many people who've got genuine spiritual questions, and it might take a while to lead them to Jesus, but you can lead them towards him. And, you know, at the appropriate moment, Jesus will help you to know how to communicate something more, you know, more about him in that process. So that's some of the simple things I've found.
Thank you for that challenging and encouraging word. And it really is basic, isn't it? It's really fundamental to the future of our church, but it's also the Great Commission. It's our responsibility.
Yeah. Well, if we don't do it, we will never pass on the faith to the next generation. And if we don't pass on the faith to the next generation, then there won't be a next generation in church. And so, and more than that, it's not so much about the church. There will be another generation who don't know Jesus. And so Jesus has always made it our the responsibility of Christians to pass on their faith to others.
Absolutely.
And it's not supposed to be a heavy, difficult thing. I think, you know, can I own this? You know, as clergy, we sometimes make it difficult, and actually it's supposed to be really easy. And so we need to talk amongst ourselves about how we can make it easy enough for anyone to be able to do this.
Thank you.
And so I think that's telling stories, having the people who do it say, this is his. I spoke to this person last week. It was really good. So you can even, on I think Sunday services, have a little slot where literally for 2 minutes, any stories of people telling others about Jesus or of helping them to grow in their faith. It might be people inside the room or it might be people outside, but it's then helping people to say, this is important, and we all want to learn how to do it.
Thank you for those encouraging words, Bishop Ray.
It's a pleasure.